I love to sing about the Mona and the Juna and the Springer. I love to sing about a sky of blue or a tea for tour, and I love to sing.
Hi, I'm Fitz.
And I'm Russell.
And we're the Crunchy Duck Gamers.
Woo!
Woo! Today we're going to be talking about Infamous Second Son.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah, so excited. Both Russell and I love this game on the PS4. I mean, it was probably both of our first games on the PS4.
Correct. Yeah, that was actually, I think it was the first game I got for my PS4.
I think it was the second game I got for my PS4.
What was your first game?
Madden.
Which Madden? Or is Madden one of those games where you can buy one and you've played them all?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It was the Madden that came out with the PS4. That's all you need to know. Yeah, we're taking a brief break from RPGs, obviously, because Infamous Second Son is an RPG. Before we move,
kind of an RPG. I mean, it's an action adventure game. I mean, you can kind of choose some RPG stuff.
Well, I mean, based off of last week's episode, every game is an RPG.
Every game.
Yeah, every game ever created is an RPG.
It's actually the last two episodes.
Yeah, it's in the last two episodes.
Every game.
Every game's an RPG. But first, we're going to catch up. It's been a week. Russell, what are you drinking?
I just finished a classic Coca-Cola with some ice from a can.
Oh, nice.
It was delicious. I have since run out of Coca-Cola in a glass, and I'm not getting more because I don't need to drink two things of Coca-Cola in one day.
Yeah,
because then I will run out faster. Fitz, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a beer called Dogtoberfest Marzen from the Flying Dog Brewery. So, Russell, what did you do this week?
Oh god, this week I started my playthrough of Darksiders 2.
Okay.
And so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm playing the definitive edition. And so far I'm actually really enjoying it. It's fixed a lot of, or it's changed a lot of things I didn't like about the first Darksiders. And yeah, talk about more when we get to Darksiders. I'm enjoying it.
Well, by the way, we're talking about Darksiders one day. Someday. Let's see.
Fitz, what are you playing? Are you still on
what I've been playing hasn't changed. Darkest Dungeon and Undertale, because Easter and whatnot.
Yeah,
yeah. But I did watch Batman vs Superman this weekend.
Yes, actually, Fitz and I both saw Batman vs Superman, and we were actually discussing it for like an hour and a half before we actually started recording because we wanted to talk about the movie.
We wanted to talk about the movie so bad. Russell saw it on Friday, and he couldn't hold in his discussion.
I kept texting Fitz like, "Have you seen it yet? When are you seeing it?" And he's like, "Is it something you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Yes, I would like to discuss it."
Yes, I would like to discuss. And I wanted to discuss with you so badly, but I wanted to reserve my own opinions of the movie.
Yeah,
while I saw it,
which is fair.
Yeah, and obviously the critics haven't been very good on it, and I didn't hesitate to read all of those reviews. But
did you read the reviews before or after you saw the movie?
Before.
Okay.
I didn't read any spoilers reviews. I've read only just reviews that didn't spoil anything.
See, I didn't. I waited until after I saw the movie to not read any reviews. I actually haven't read any reviews about the movie yet.
Yeah,
and I've already seen it.
Yeah, and you had to wait till Monday and to get my opinion on it. And you were surprised that it was way different than yours.
Yeah, we actually had contrasting opinions, which I thought you would maybe not like the movie, but you did.
I loved the movie. I loved it. I know I'm unpopular of me, but I like Man of Steel. And
I like Man of Steel too. Man of Steel is good.
And I love Man of Steel is a good movie, and a lot of people will disagree with us, Russell. A lot of people.
Because Man of Steel suffers from Zack Snyder, unfortunately.
Zack Snyder, he's a good director, just not a good story director.
No, I mean he had a couple. I think the only movie that I've seen of his that I was actually well received was 300.
Mm-hmm.
I know Watchmen had some whiffy-waffy reviews, and Man of Steel had some whiffy-waffy reviews. Actually, I don't know what else I've seen by him. What other movies?
Yeah. I can't think I've really seen any others, but I love 300. Actually, some really good things happened to me before I saw the movie. I was so down when I read the IGN review of Batman vs Superman. My heart broke.
Oh no, I'll have to read that one.
Yeah, like it sunk. Once I saw it, they gave it a score of 6.8 out of 10. I saw that and it sunk in my chest, and I couldn't sleep that night. I lost sleep over that. It's stupid, I know.
That's okay.
But
there's a game that actually recently came out called Adrift, spelled with a 1 instead of an I. I don't know why. But it kind of looks like Gravity, the video game, and unfortunately, it's actually like I was really looking forward to the movie, or I'm sorry, looking forward to the game. But it's gotten some pretty meh reviews across the board.
But then I was walking in Philly wearing my Batman shirt, one of my many Batman shirts because I have a lot of them. But it was actually the BVS symbol Batman shirt that I got a couple weeks before the movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I also have the Superman too.
I saw a guy jogging today wearing a Batman shirt, and I almost rolled down my window and shouted, "Go Batman! You jog!"
But I was actually in Philly, and I was walking into the Benjamin Franklin Museum. The I guess I don't know, the tour secretary there. He was at the front desk. He was wearing like a park ranger suit. I don't know. He asked me if I seen the movie yet. And I was like, no, I haven't heard good things. I'm afraid to. And he said, don't be afraid. I've been reading DC Comics for 30 years. I watched it and I loved it. It's awesome. And that really gave me hope for it. And I liked the movie, just like he said I would.
And that I have not been reading DC Comics, and I was very confused by the movie. Fitz and I discussed this and kind of discovered that if you don't know anything about the DC Extended Universe, you will get lost. Whoops.
I agree with that.
See, I also, like, let's go back to the shirt thing. I always feel really awkward when people compliment my shirts. Because to be honest, after I put my shirt on and give or take about 5 minutes, I forget what shirt I'm wearing. And I've had people say, "Oh yeah, an awesome Batman shirt," and I look at them for like a hot second and go, "What are you talking about?" And then I embarrassingly enough have to look down and realize that, oh, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. And you're talking to someone who can watch a movie once and remember, or like watch a movie, read a book, play a game once, and remember a whole bunch of tiny little details, but I can't remember what clothes I'm wearing that day.
I know. I get that a lot. Like, I understand. I don't remember all my shirts I'm wearing. I do have to check too. But like, I love when I'm like walking through New York City or walking through Philadelphia or walking through DC, and people go like, "Oh, hey, Superman, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I love that. I love being called Batman. I love being called Superman. I love it, and that's why I wear these shirts.
See, I'm just like, my first reaction is like, "Why are you talking to me? What are you?" Oh, right, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. I'm wearing a Superman shirt. Wearing a Captain America.
Yeah. And you also get instant camaraderie with other people wearing Batman or Superman shirts.
It is a little awkward when you come across someone who's wearing the villain shirt or the arch nemesis shirt, because then it's just like, should I fight this person in public? Am I obligated to? Am I morally bound?
To be honest, I've only ever seen people wearing like Joker shirts. I haven't seen anyone wearing a Lex Luthor shirt or a Loki shirt.
Well, see, with Lex Luthor, I assume any person who's bald is Lex Luthor.
That's a good assumption.
Any person suit bald looks morally super villainish.
Looks very super villainish. Okay, but actually, back to going to my theater experience. My theater experience is awful. I liked watching the movie, but like, people were like texting on their cell phones like the whole time, the people in front of me. And behind me, people were using a flash to snap pictures of the movie. And like, this freaking flash was lighting up the whole damn theater. The whole theater. And I'm just like, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go freaking Frank Miller Batman right now. Like, stop it.
So yeah, when I went to go see the movie, it was Friday, it was the day after it opened, and it was crowded. And I had like people in front of me, and then a bunch of 12-year-olds behind me. And then once the movie started, like, it got pretty quiet. And I think the only obnoxious people are actually the 12-year-olds. But they're 12. I mean, you're supposed to be obnoxious at that age.
Oh yeah, and I rarely have a bad movie theater experience. Like I know I hear on the internet all the time. I hear from my friends like, "Oh, going to the movie theater is so awful. Like you have babies crying, stuff like that." And I never had that experience, mostly because I don't go till late at night or early in the morning. Normally, and no one's going to take an infant to a Batman vs Superman movie.
I don't know. A lot of people took their
They shouldn't
12-year-olds to see Deadpool.
And that shouldn't happen, but we're going to
talk. Have fun explaining some of that stuff to your kid.
Yeah. And parents watching this, don't let your kids see the Deadpool movie or read Deadpool comics. No. Stop it. That's inappropriate.
Yeah. All right. So
anyway, this isn't a comic book podcast.
No.
Unless you have any ending thoughts, Russell.
Unless I have any what?
Ending thoughts on what we were just talking about.
No, I mean I think I need to rewatch Batman vs Superman, knowing what I know now. Fitz was kind enough to bestow some DC Universe knowledge upon mine ears.
Yeah. I'm a comic book nerd.
Yeah, Fitz is more of a comic book nerd than I am. I watch the movies and critique the movies. But yeah,
I would DC over Marvel for me, but
yeah, see, I'm torn. I was just thinking about that, and DC, in my opinion, has a much more interesting universe, like story-wise, whereas Marvel has more interesting characters for me.
Yeah, I can see why people think that. Basically, because they're hitting it out of the park with movies, in most people's opinions.
Well, and also like because I've been doing a lot of reading on the characters, and you have a character of Daredevil who is a sex addict. Tony Stark is a functioning alcoholic. Jessica Jones, who is an alcoholic and is dealing with extreme rage. Hulk, extreme rage. Some of that stuff, and with DC, it's just like, oh, here you have Superman. Okay, and then you have Batman, who, granted, is dealing with some pretty dark stuff.
And Superman's dealing with, like, he's not a human. He has no identity. He's struggling with, am I a human or am I a Kryptonian? Constantly. He's always doing that. And in Man of Steel, he kills the last Kryptonian besides himself.
Is he human or is he a dancer?
I know he's dealing a lot, and this isn't a comic book podcast. This isn't a podcast where I defend Superman. This is a podcast where we talk about video games.
Speaking of Superman and superpowers, infamous Second Son. Segue.
Superpowers. I don't know if you would call them superheroes. Would you call them superheroes?
In what?
I don't know.
Would
you call the people in the Infamous series superheroes or supervillains?
Depends on which karma path you go on. So Infamous Second Son is actually the fourth game of the Infamous series.
Third.
The reason I say third/fourth, Infamous 2 did have some DLC where you get to play as a vampire with electrical superpowers. Haven't played that yet.
That Infamous 2 should have been the entirety of Infamous 2.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Infamous starts out where you are a bike messenger in a city called Empire City, which is, quote, air quotes, New York. And he opens up a package and there's an explosion and he gets electrical powers. Fitz, you didn't play Infamous 1 and 2, right?
I did not. I didn't have a PS2.
Okay. Yeah, I played Infamous. It was one of the first games to come out at the time to have superpowers. It was competing with Prototype. And we all know how that works.
Oh God, Prototype. Oh.
Yeah.
We might have an episode on Prototype just to talk about how much we hate that game.
And then there was, the only reason I'm talking about Infamous 1 and 2 right now is because Infamous Second Son kind of goes off of the plot of Infamous 2, which if you do the good ending of Infamous 2, you actually end up killing all superpowered people. What happens?
Really?
Yeah, through the events of Infamous 1, you inadvertently create this superpowered person called the Beast.
Right.
And in order to combat him in Infamous 2, a device called the Ray Sphere Inhibitor, Ray Sphere being the magical plot MacGuffin device that creates what's known as conduits in this game. Conduits are people who can become superpowered. It basically kills anyone who has that conduit gene. So you actually end up killing yourself and every other conduit on the planet, even people who like the gene wasn't even activated. So you kill like people who have powers and people who could have potential powers. And then this is where you get to Infamous Second Son. Yay! Which starts out it's a couple years after.
Yeah. Your character, Deslin.
Yeah, it takes place 7 years after Infamous 2. We play as Troy Baker.
Because why? Because Troy Baker.
Because Troy Baker. Yeah, you play as Deslin Rowe, otherwise known as Troy Baker.
Yeah. And he's a tagger. He tags billboards, he tags whatever. He tags things.
Yeah. He's basically like the no good, like, oh, you rascally kid, you.
Yeah, you're up to no good, Deslin. You're vandalizing my billboard.
he's Deslin the Menace.
But it begins at a Native American reservation.
Yeah, both Deslin and his brother Reggie are part of a fictional Native Akomish.
The Akomish. Yes.
And you know the game starts out with you tagging some buildings, and then kind of takes a fun turn. Well, not. I would say it takes a fun turn from there because you know what happens. You tagging some buildings, your brother catches you, and it's just like kind of goes into the plot thing of what would our parents say, and then what's it? They call it dupe in the game. I forgot what it stands for.
Dupe.
Yeah, DUP.
Oh yeah, the DUP. I don't know what it stands for. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but there's a government agency called the DUP that was established to hunt down and capture conduits, and they've been relabeled as bioterrorists. So a DUP truck comes through and kind of explodes. So you and your brother go to help out, which is when Deslin comes over and touches one of the escaping prisoners, and this is where you discover Deslin's power is that he can actually absorb other conduits' powers.
And I think that's really cool. Just he's Rogue.
Yeah,
he's Rogue of this universe, and I love Rogue in the X-Men universe, and which makes me it touches.
Yeah, he's Rogue, but he can actually touch people without killing them.
Yeah, and that's the plus of not being.
Yeah, the nice thing about Rogue is that you can actually touch people without killing them. And then also that opens up a whole lot of gameplay possibilities because like in the first two Infamous games, like in the first one you get electricity powers. Okay, that's cool. Second game you can get electricity powers, and then you get ice powers or oil / napalm powers, depending on which karmic path you go. In this game though, you get you start out with smoke powers, and then eventually you get neon powers, which are awesome.
I only use neon powers.
Yeah, and then you get like video graphic powers, which I thought was really cool.
Doesn't make sense. It's cool, but it didn't make any sense. The video graphic powers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
just like, are you using that as a resource now, like digital things?
Yeah, it's like I'm shooting bits and have to absorb power off of antennas.
Like what? Like I'm shooting like computer stuff, and like now I'm making video games.
Yeah, they label
it didn't make any sense.
They label the power as digital materialization. Okay,
and this doesn't make sense to me. But you know, it was cool to use. It was fun, and that really is all that matters.
But yeah, so the gameplay from there kind of goes like you are outside of the city of Seattle, which is interesting how in the first two Infamous games you have these fictional towns such as like Empire City, New Marais. Now you have Seattle.
Hey, you know, I enjoyed climbing to the top of the Space Needle. I think Seattle was a good place to place it because whatever game takes place in Seattle.
Good point.
Yeah, like where? No, you don't get Seattle anywhere.
I think the only thing that made Seattle famous that I know of is the show Frasier.
And the Space Needle.
But yeah, the gameplay, you know, or the plot from there, you know, you go to Seattle and find out that the DUP is kind of taking it over in like a martial law, military police kind of thing. And then from there, you know, you go through the motions of, you know, collecting power-ups, becoming more powerful, and then from there you choose, like, do you want to be a good person? Do you want to be a bad person?
You know, it's basically just the morality series, the morality system that, you know, comics themselves go by. Like, does this person kill people or does this person not kill people? Because, like, Deslin's, you know, he is the hero of the story. There's no doubt that he is a hero, or at least a protagonist. Just like there's no doubt that the Punisher is a protagonist.
Yeah,
You can either choose for him to be, a hero or an anti-hero, pretty much.
Yeah. Either be, good or infamous.
You want to be famous? I'll make you infamous.
But yeah, then as you go through the story, you come across some other conduits that have escaped, and then you absorb their powers. You get Neon, which is awesome.
Neon's awesome.
Neon also allows you to run incredibly quickly for infinite amounts of time. So it makes getting across the map so easy.
Oh my god, and the stupid parkour stuff that they implement in all the games.
Yeah, nope.
I'm just like, why can this guy do parkour?
Nope, I'm just going to run up a building now. With.
Yes, it made more sense for him to travel that way than just like parkouring up buildings. Yeah. I don't know.
And then eventually what happens in the plot is that the bad guy of the game, Augustine, who has concrete powers, which that's actually pretty cool. Concrete, that's a versatile substance.
It's a versatile substance.
It's annoying.
It's cool when the main villain uses it. I don't even know his name. Augustine. Yeah. When Augustine uses it, I think Augustine's a good villain. Cool when Augustine uses the powers. Not so cool when you use the powers.
No, yeah, that's at the end of the game. Eventually, you get the powers. The whole reason actually that you go to Seattle to get the powers is because she is very mean with her powers and actually infects your Native American tribe with concrete that is slowly killing them.
Yeah, that's very mean.
Yeah, and it's the plot kind of loosely talks about the whole idea of the rest of the world knows them as bioterrorists, but the conduits themselves just call themselves conduits. The fact that the government has been lying to the people about what conduits are capable of. And then you also find out that Augustine is she kind of had good motives, but went about it in a not so good way. She's actually been trying to save conduits by putting them in jail. By basically imprisoning them, which is you kind of get into the Civil War type stuff here, Marvel Civil War, and she's actually also been teaching them how to use their powers. You find out more about that in Infamous First Light,
the DLC,
yeah, which is a standalone game where you play as Fetch, the girl with neon powers.
Yeah, and I don't even remember that at all. I remember playing it, I just don't remember it.
Oh yeah,
anything about that, honestly.
Yeah, see, I played through the game twice. So the plot I'm pretty up to date on. And then in the game, what happens is Augustine actually gets your brother Reggie killed. And unfortunately, no matter which karmic option you go with, good, infamous, he dies, which is very unfortunate. And then the game either ends with you saving your village, with a good ending, being sad that your brother has passed away, or the bad ending where you go back to your village and they outcast you. So you basically drop down on them using one of your powers and wipe them out. And then your character goes off to the prison to absorb everyone's powers to become super powerful, while the two other conduits you run into kind of wreak havoc in Seattle.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the characters for a second.
Characters!
Let's see. We had Dreslin. Sorry.
Delsin.
Delsin. We had Delsin. We have his brother, Reggie.
I'm mispronouncing it. It's Delsin Road, not Deslin. I'm just dyslexic today.
Delsin. Reggie, his brother. Abigail Fetch Walker, who I love. I loved her as a character. And then the other conduit would be Eugene Sims, who is the video gamer. And then you have, Augustine, and, a lot of other smaller characters that we won't really go into.
No, that's pretty much it. Those are the only characters that you really talk to in the game. Abigail, her story is actually really sad, because she's actually an ex-junkie.
She's ex-junkie
who accidentally kills her brother using her powers.
And as a result of that, she then goes after drug dealers in Seattle.
That's actually that's how you come across her in the game, is that you find you hear about a drug dealer that was murdered in a certain way.
Yeah, and I think it's
very
really
colorful.
Cool. You meet her, the conversation you have with her first, and then it continues the conversations you have with her. It really brings out her character. It really shines in this. Laura Bailey does a great job of voice acting her, and the neon powers are freaking great.
Yeah, so
they're awesome.
Yeah, that's actually move along to gameplay. So depending on which karma path you went on, the neat thing about the gameplay is that depending on which, if you were good or infamous, the powers that you could unlock changed. So like, Fitz, you for your first playthrough, you did the good karma, right?
Yeah, of course I did. I always do this like the Superman way. I always do it that way.
Fitz is really just Superman.
I wish.
Yeah. So one of the cool things, like with Neon, and you were good karma, you could go into like sniper mode where time would slow down. Then you could hit certain points on the bodies that would immediately incapacitate them.
Or you can just blow their head off.
Yeah, which is evil. which gives you bad points, bad juju. So yeah, Neon was super useful for that because you could just like jump into battle, pinpoint some weak spots, pew pew pew, firing my neon lasers, and then run away to recharge.
Yeah. We've already talked a little about the powers. But, I think the movement of the city at the beginning, before you get the neon powers, it's very clunky. It's very like, oh, I'm jumping around and I'm using smoke to glide and launch myself from places.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the downsides of the Infamous series. That movement in all of them is still clunky. One of the downsides is that you actually, and this is a good thing too, but you automatically snap to objects. So when you're climbing a building, you kind of have to get the character within the ballpark of the object, and you'll snap onto it. Doesn't really allow for a lot of precise movement. And until you get the neon powers, moving around the city is a bit of a chore.
Yeah, but Neon makes it much easier. Once again, we said at the beginning.
Yeah, Neon makes it easier, and then also the digital powers. You can glide for a long period of time, and you can also use satellites to launch yourself across the map and then glide.
And that's really cool too. Yeah, but super speed across the map. I feel like the Flash running. A much, much, much slower Flash, but
a neon multicolored Flash. Did you do an evil run in Infamous?
I only played through the game once, and I played it.
One of the things I discovered is that when you do the evil run, I actually found that the smoke and digital power was more useful than neon.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, because with neon, one of the things when you went into zoom mode, one of the things you could unlock was time slows down, but you can only unlock that if you are good superpowered person. If you're bad, you can zoom in, but time doesn't slow down. So I found that with the digital powers, an upgrade that you could unlock was you could basically fire infinitely. And infinitely in massive amounts of like little bits, literally bits, throwing at the enemy. So with the digital power and smoke power, you could rain death and destruction.
Well, I mean that brings into the argument, like when you're evil, when you're going down an anti-hero supervillain path, you throw your powers to the wind. You don't care who gets hurt around you. You don't care if the people you're fighting die. You're using your powers to your fullest potential. Whereas you do, the more superhero-esque side, the more just hero-esque side, you're more conscious of everyone around where you're fighting. You're more conscious of the life of the people you're fighting.
Yeah, and during my good karma run, I would pick my shots carefully because you could incapacitate people, or you can kill them, and it'll let you know that you've done that. So I tried not to kill people, and I always did the incapacitation, which is more difficult, actually.
Yeah, it's always more difficult to not kill someone than it is to kill someone.
Yeah, and that's why it was nice. I had to change how I was playing the game when I did my bad karma runs. I use neon all the time for my good karma run. But when I did my bad karma run, neon wasn't working for me. I couldn't be as precise. I couldn't play it the way I was used to, so I had to adapt, and I eventually just kept switching over to smoke and video powers.
Okay.
Which, fun little anecdote. So in the game, you can you get multiple powers, but the way to switch using powers is to absorb the source of the power. So like for smoke, you absorb smoke. Neon, you absorb neon signs that are scattered throughout the city. And digital, you absorb it through antennas on the roof. I didn't know this at the time. So the moment I got neon, I thought I couldn't use smoke anymore. Until there's a point in the plot where your character absorbs a smoke grenade and you get smoke powers back. So I was like, oh.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I think that was a very clunky way of dealing with switching powers. Like, why can't I just press a button and it switches
See,
powers?
I was okay with that though, because if you could just switch powers, that would make Delsin already more overpowered. Because Delsin is arguably one of the most powerful conduits in the Infinite world, because he can absorb anyone's powers.
Well, you see, he can absorb anyone's powers. He can use anyone's powers, but he can't use it like the other conduits can when they have just one ability. Like, look at Augustine. She created a concrete giant. I don't think Delsin can do that.
Yeah, well, it's also another thing. With Delsin, this goes along with the plot of like you have to collect blast cores to get new powers. And Delsin and Cole McGrath, the protagonists of the first 2 games, were the only 2 people that I know of that can do that. There's actually an audio log that you can pick up, where Augustine, the bad guy, tries to get more power by doing this, and she can't. That's one of the limiting things of Delsin, of like he can absorb someone's powers, but he can't use them until he creates more blast cores. Blast cores being the source of conduits.
Yeah, but Delsin, he's a jack of all trades, and a jack of all trades, the master of none.
Yeah, which it makes sense, from the gameplay element of like, I mean, with Fetch, you can do pretty much everything that she, except for some of her karma attack.
Well, yeah, and Fetch being a conduit who really isn't as powerful as anyone else you meet.
I mean, it's still awesome.
Yeah, she's still awesome. One thing that one of our other friends, Connor, he liked this a lot, is the spray painting sequences that you actually had to hold the controller like a spray paint can and then spray it like that, which I didn't know. Which I was just doing it as like a normal controller, and I was just like, okay, why am I doing it like this? This is very clunky. It doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, this is way much better, so much better.
It's like one of the first things they do. That's the first thing you do in the game, is learn how to tag.
I don't read tutorials, Russ. I just figure it out on my own. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't read tutorials.
This is one of the few games I've gone through and done everything for. Like, I have platinumed this game, and I have platinumed Infamous First Light, which is the DLC with Fetch, where you play as Fetch. I didn't because the side missions, or some of the side missions are like, okay, good missions, bad missions, random missions, and then you get to tag stuff, and you get to choose do you want to tag a good thing, or do you want to spray paint a good thing or a bad thing? And then it was really cool where you shake the controller sideways, and then you just spray paint in the game some stencils, and you get this really cool image at the end. And that's it.
Yeah, I like that. That's a lot of fun to do that. That little simple thing, so much fun. And I didn't get how to do it until after I just beat the game.
Yeah, and it's when you do the good karma run, you get these really nice images. When you do bad karma, you get these really nasty, scary messages. And then in Infamous First Light, you do it with Fetch, and Fetch doesn't use spray paint. She uses her powers to create these beautiful works of neon art, which was really pretty to look at.
Right. It's true, and it's very nice to look at.
Yeah, this is one of those games though, where it just everything, all the elements came together, and it was really enjoyable. And I've actually been debating whether or not I should play the game. But I have other games that I need to play, like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah. Let's see. You'll play the Dark Souls series. I'll just be here.
I'll just tell you about them.
Yeah, just tell me about how I'll just say Dark Souls, and I'll just continue.
These games are awesome. Yeah, I know. You should play them. Okay.
Well, I mean, we'll get into probably. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like the first Dark Souls.
Yeah, we'll get that's into a whole other story.
When we talk about Bloodborne,
because it's awesome. Yeah, Infamous Second Son. If you haven't played it and you own a PS4, definitely recommend at least trying it out.
Absolutely.
If you played any of the Infamous games and haven't played Second Son, please do. It takes a lot of the things that were great about the first 2 Infamous games and makes it better.
Yeah, I would give Infamous Second Son a chance. I believe, was it a launch title for the PS4?
Yeah, it was one of the launch titles. I mean, I remember seeing the trailers for it.
Yeah, it launched. It definitely launched pretty close to the launch of the PS4. It was one of my first games for the PS4, besides Madden. And I would definitely give it a play.
One thing I just want to talk about, the controls for Infamous Second Son are great. Because
they're
because
so
like it
fluid.
used to be in the previous Infamous games, if you wanted to shoot your little electrical bolts, you actually had to press a button to aim, and it went into like the over the shoulder, and then you could switch which size you're shooting from. In Infamous Second Son is you move the camera with the right joystick and move with the left, and then you just shoot. Which made combat so much easier, and it was so fluid, where you jump on a surface and fire off through a few bolts of smoke or neon or data bits, and then you could like jump and move around and be a super powered little squirrel shooting off bits of danger.
It felt very fluid. It was fun to play. It was not like playing a Capcom game, where the controls just make it impossible.
Yeah, Resident Evil 5 was scary because the controls were terrible. And it's also just scary. Have you played Resident Evil 5?
I have not. I don't.
There's a part in Resident Evil 5 where a man who's wearing a bloodied burlap sack that has one eye hole in it comes out and chases you with a chainsaw, and it is.
You know what? That was the demo.
It is terrifying because he takes a lot of bullets to die. And if he gets close to you, you die. Horrific fashion.
Yeah, if they make a release for it on the PS4, I might give it a try. But Resident Evil games have never been something.
But I think they have Resident Evil 6. You can play that. I don't know if that's for the PS4 though.
Oh, wasn't Resident Evil 6 awful?
I don't know. I just know the logo looks a little bit weird to some people. One thing that I really wish the developer Sucker Punch would come up with, at least I hope they do, is an Infamous like 4 or 5 or another Infamous game. They've teased at the end of Infamous Second Son that Cole McGrath might be back. But I think it'd be cool, if Cole McGrath came back and you still play as Delsin and you absorb his powers. Because then you bring back electrical powers, which have been voted as some of the more popular powers within the series. As Fitz discussed, Delsin is not as powerful as the original Conduit. So they could change it. They can add new things to it. They can get rid of some things, but bring some improvements. Because I would love to, have the electrical powers with the movement and gameplay mechanics of Second Son. It's awesome. It's also a very pretty game, especially for a launch title.
Very pretty game. This has been the Crunchy Duck Gamers podcast.
News. This is the news. The news.
I'm for the news.
I'm
Welcome.
Dreaming of a news podcast where people talk about RPGs.
Ish.
Okay.
News. Okay, I have a couple bits of news, and Russell has one. I'm gonna go ahead and start.
Disclaimer: some of our news bits actually don't have anything to do with video games, but more or less things that are going on in the world.
My first bit of news is actually gaming related. Concept art for God of War 4 has been leaked, and it looks like it's going to take place in Norse mythology, which is a place where I've always thought the series should go after Greek mythology, because I knew it wasn't done after God of War 3. Nobody thought it was done after God of War 3, and now they're releasing God of War 4.
Didn't there was God of War 3 and then God of War Ascension?
Ascension, that was a prequel. I never played Ascension.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the God of War series. God of War 3 being my least favorite. I haven't played Ascension, but you kill all of the Greek gods in God of War 3. Well, not all of them. You keep one alive, but I'm not going to tell you which one right here, right now.
There's really no coming back from death. Well, maybe in Greek mythology, but
death doesn't really apply to Kratos because he dies like 3 times and he literally crawls out of hell.
It's like once per main game.
Pretty much. But yeah, God of War is one of my favorite series. Looking at this concept art, it's looking pretty good. You see like a tree of life there. Just a lot of Norse stuff, so I'm looking forward to fighting Thor, Odin. I'm interested in what a Loki fight would be like. But it could be the beginning of a new trilogy. You don't think it's going to be Kratos jumping into other people's lore and beating up their gods, right? Or would that be a little too crazy? I think it will be just these gods already exist in the world. or they just come into fruition. Because at the end of God of War 3, all the gods are dead, all the Greek gods are dead, and the world's in chaos. And there needs to be gods to fill that in, to fill in that gap, so humanity can continue to live. Because all the humans are dead at the end of God of War 3. All of them. But yeah, there's not much to really talk about. The concept art looks good. I'll leave a link to this on Twitter, which it'll probably, I've already done that by the time this podcast comes out, which will be Sunday.
Sunday.
But yeah, I'm excited. And go ahead, Russell. You can move on to your bit of news.
There has been some footage of Mass Effect Andromeda that was also leaked.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Just showing off some of the graphical improvements that they have in the new game engine. It's nothing spectacular, although some of the story has been leaked via a survey. Whoops.
Also, jetpacks.
Yeah, I didn't look at the survey, but I did look at some of the footage showing the graphical stuff. And it's very much an alpha right now. But yeah, they have jetpacks. So, it's kind of makes me excited for the upcoming Mass Effect game.
Well, yeah, I'm excited for it. Not until next year, though.
Yeah, I got No Man's Sky coming out. I can wait. If you don't hear from me, it's because I'm playing No Man's Sky.
But yeah, okay.
All right, and Fitz, let's move on to our non-gaming related news.
Okay, kind of a news that's specifically relevant to me and any professional wrestling fans out there. I watched WrestleMania. That's the news. I'm just gonna leave you a little bit of my thoughts about it. I thought it was an okay show. That women's match between Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. That match pretty much cemented the Divas Revolution. It's pretty much at the point. It's not Divas; they're women's wrestlers now.
They changed it.
It's no longer Divas. Now they're just women wrestlers. They're female wrestlers. That's what they are. But it's getting to the point where it's no longer surprising that these women are having good matches. And they're actually contributing to Raw and SmackDown and WrestleMania now. People aren't just like, oh, the women are wrestling. Time to not pay attention at all. Now it's like, oh, these are sometimes the best matches of the show. In this case, I think it was.
Just a side note. Apparently, Sasha Banks' cousin is Snoop Dogg, according to Wikipedia. That's
absolutely true. He was actually at WrestleMania, and he actually got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Huh.
Yeah, recently.
Things I did not know.
Yeah, and he actually sang her entrance song when she came on. So that was pretty great. But, there's a big issue with WWE right now, and it's concerning its main event and its main card matches. The main event at WrestleMania sucked. It was pretty bad. And not because the wrestling was bad, but it's because it's to go along with the fans are saying same thing, same stuff, different show. Roman Reigns is put over Triple H. And I thought he should have at WrestleMania. I definitely thought Roman Reigns should have been put over, but there needed to be something else there. It would have been the perfect time for Roman Reigns to have a heel turn, to have someone like the Usos interfere in the match and help him win the WWE Championship. That would have been a lot more interesting. And let's see, because Roman Reigns' character is very boring. Like, he's just, I'm a big guy and I'm tough, and like, you have to like me. And the fans hate it. I hate it. Nothing against Roman Reigns himself. It's really against WWE creative, and it just a lot of questionable outcomes. Here, like, you have Chris Jericho was put over AJ Styles, which I thought was crap because, well, Vince McMahon hates TNA, so that's why AJ Styles lost. And that was a very questionable decision, that part, especially because he became the number one contender for the WWE title the very next day. It doesn't make any sense. Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental Championship, and that ladder match was great. But once again, it was ruined by the next day when he lost it. He literally had it for less than 24 hours. Like, you're finally giving the fans what they want with Zack Ryder, and then you kill it the next day. They might be building up a storyline with that, but the fans deserve more than that. But yeah, it was fairly predictable of Law's outcomes. I'm a Taker man. Taker match was good, but right now there's just a divide between the fans and the company and WWE. The company is saying, "Hey, you want this, and you're going to like it," and the fans are saying, "No, we don't want this." And professional wrestling is one of those mediums where the fans are supposed to have a huge input on what happens in the stories and in the match results, and that's not happening. Why? I don't know. That's the end of that spiel. This isn't a professional wrestling podcast. This is a video game podcast, but I just want to talk about WrestleMania a little bit.
But the more you know, because honestly, I don't know anything about wrestling, but I feel like I know a lot more now.
Well, thank you for listening to the Crunchy Duck Gamers podcast. You can download this on iTunes. Just search up Crunchy Duck Gamers. You can reach us on our Twitter at CDuckGamers. Our Facebook page is titled The Crunchy Duck Gamers. And you can find us on YouTube at Crunchy Duck.
Yeah, and if you liked what you've heard today, just leave us a review on iTunes. And if there's anything that you would like us to touch upon in this podcast, just leave the message in the review or tweet at us.
Yeah, we'll respond in a timely manner. All right, well, goodbye.
Ending this podcast. Can't you see? It's kind of late and we have work tomorrow.